Baby, you just so fine. I want to eat you up. David, I didn't think that I would give Aichi a break. I didn't think I would give the Kango King of Chicago a break. But you, sir, you single-handedly did it this episode because I'm on your head, Mr. Second Shift Basement Dweller. If you guys are new here, my name is Ashley, and this is My Sweet Perspective, where I give my take on all things TV and movie related. And y'all know that I am here to put you on. We are back to talk Married at First Sight, Season 18, Episode 12. I just want to eat you up. I just want to eat you up. And David, damn you, David. Because all you had to do was act right and keep the dingling in your pants for 8 weeks. That's all you had to do. Baby, you would have came out here, honey, with a whole task force, with a team, honey, with a line of blonde-haired, blue-eyed biddies who were fine with you living in your mom and them's basement. That's all you had to do, but you couldn't even do that right. You couldn't even do that right. And I think you're dangerous. If y'all go back to my original videos for this season, I told y'all he was the enemy. I told y'all that Michelle, yes, Michelle is hell in the paint. She is. Not that she don't have a right to feel how she feels, because she absolutely does, but her delivery, you know what I mean? The rehashing of it over and over and over, it was grating on all of our nerves. It really, really was. However, you're the real monster, so, because I knew those thick fingers were feeding Madison. I knew it. I knew it the whole time, y'all. But let's get into it. And I'm actually going to start with, again, our least problematic couple. I actually enjoyed their interactions this week. And so if you don't know, this week was all about, again, we're reconnecting with the childhood roots. We're going to see the families for some, but not for all. We're going to connect with the families, and we're just making that additional impression. Again, none of these couples are steam heat. The only hope I have is for this couple, and I'm talking about Camille and Thomas. We go to Camille People's house, and we meet her grandmother. We meet her father, whose face she has completely. There is no question of paternity, Camille. That is your father. He is the father, looking just like him. And I don't know if that was her brother. I think that was her brother there. And then, of course, her grandma, who's collected all of the clippings, apparently, of Camille's illustrious basketball career. And we're just getting to know Camille at a deeper level, what the family thinks of her. And Thomas is just so, he fits. He fits. I don't know how they're going to mess this up, because on paper, this works for me. I think her family is doting and adoring to her. Again, the father was like, I wanted her to be this star athlete, and I wanted her to be super competitive. But Camille's laid back. Camille was like, all right, I'm not going to fight you about this game. And I was actually here for it. But when the waterworks came out, when we swapped, and Camille goes to see Thomas's biological mom, because if you guys didn't know, he and his twin brother were adopted. I think basically from birth, right? As we discover on last night's episode. And so we meet his biological mama, who is she Puerto Rican? Is she Dominican? There's definitely Afro-Latina vibes going. And she was making the plantains and the empanadas and the frijoles. You know what I mean? She was doing all of the things. And I was here for that. But again, it's emotional still. And Thomas ain't seen a tear that he don't want to cry yet. And I'm not mad at him, baby. Be sensitive, be vulnerable. And I really, really enjoyed how Camille took the time to really connect with his mother. Really did. This can be an interesting situation. As a child of adoption myself, I know the ins and outs and nuances of this situation. And so we see his bio mom still carrying what seems to be a lot of guilt. And it seems like he's consistently letting her off the hook. And Camille just jumps right in. And I really, really enjoyed that. It was like, I really care about your son. Take the time to tell me what your process was, what the story was. And so we find out she was only 16. She already had a daughter, or she had a daughter at 16, and I think the boys came soon after that, and it was just too much, and somebody talked her into putting them up for adoption. And we know at 16 your brain's not even fully developed yet, not as an excuse, but just as understanding, you know what I mean? And so they have a good time, baby. They taking shots, they're eating this good food, they're enjoying themselves. And again, I really enjoyed this for them. Again, not really problematic, really just taking a deep dive into who they are at their core and who their people are. And I wasn't mad at Camille and Thomas this episode. It gave what we needed it to give. Let's talk Madison and Allan. Madison, aka the Whore of Babylon, and you remain holding that title. But I need to find a coupling of words that's even worse because I think that she is one of the most underhanded, sneaky, and diabolical characters that we've seen in a long time. Because not only are you going to conjure up tears on multiple occasions this entire episode from I guess this childhood trauma from your lush of a mother, but it's the fact that you continually drag him back into this foolishness. The foolishness being that there's hope for a relationship between you and him. Because as we speak, you're going through the motions, you're crying, and you're talking about how you really want this to work, but you still just can't get over this physical hump. But I really want this to work. You don't. And why are you telling him this? I want to keep you on a string, knowing you are smashing it down with thick fingers over there. You're smashing it down with Genie and the lamp. And you continue to bring him into this. So she talks about softball, how softball saved her, the mama who wasn't a mama. Then we find out about her granny who passed. Rest in peace, granny, because that was sad. However, he's so empathetic. He's reaching out his hand. He's like, you don't have to worry about what type of parent you're going to be. You're going to be an amazing mom. You're nothing like your mom. You make good decisions. You're this, you're that. It's just the constant reinforcement for me. It's the constant support. It's the constant speaking life. It's the empathy. It's the fact that he was ready to cry just because you cried, Madison. And he turns around and he's sharing as they do the letters to their younger selves. And he's talking about, I'm an MF and baller AG. And I'm not mad at you. I'm not mad at you, Allan, because you are all of those things. Sensitive and masculine can reside in the same vessel, sir. And I'm not mad at it. And we get into this thing about identity and being raised in a female household primarily and really discovering who he was. And he has an emotional moment. And do y'all know that this heifer just tapped him on the shoulder? I ain't got it to do with Madison. I ain't got it to do with her because even just as a human, a feeling human with some emotional intelligence, you would find that this man is bearing his soul and he wants you to be all of the things that you say that you want. And it's not what you want. You want to get banged out over in that basement, Madison. And I'm disgusted because let that man be. Tell him you don't want him and allow him to process that and get it out and be done with it. But every time you get a chance, oh, I really want this to work. I'm really working. You're not. You're a liar because you the one David was talking about eating up. I'm disgusted. I'm disgusted and I don't have any good words for you, Maddie. I don't. Whore of Babylon. I don't. Next, let's go to Carla and Wancho. And this was what it was. I still don't feel it between these two. I think they're making strides because she's shifting who she is to try to get him to want or like her. And so they're writing letters to their younger selves. And she's like, I have walls up, girl. I don't know. It felt like he went deeper than she did in this letter writing exercise because Wancho got trauma. And it makes me honestly wonder if he's done any work to deal with said trauma. I'm also questioning how he remembers anything at 6 months. And if he doesn't remember at 6 months, why would they tell him that to traumatize him? Because we discover that someone almost abducted him at 6 months, so his parents had to leave him with someone who could watch him 24/7. Then we discover later on the cartel was after his parents, and then his father unfortunately was diagnosed with a sickness, but he was so strong, and this was bringing up a lot of emotion, and it would. I just don't get the 6 month part, but I could definitely empathize with him. But I really want Wancho to get some assistance and some therapy because I think that while everyone has their traumas, right, that they've endured, I really do think that it is incumbent upon us to be proactive about getting that help that we need, just to be able to process fully. You know what I mean? To process, to work it out, and so that it doesn't put us in a place of emotional turmoil anytime we discuss it. But Carla's sitting there and she's like, I think it's time for you to meet my parents. But her parents will not be filmed. And I want to know what's going on. Is it Witsec? Is it Witsec? I want to know. But no, they have a good time. Apparently, her mother cooked everything. Juan loved it. Got to meet all of the family. The dad was hard on him at first, but now we're seeing that this is going to be an amazing situation. He loves the family, but he still don't want her. In the after show, he said, no, we don't cuddle. We cuddled once or twice. That's it. And we know that that's her love language. She needs to be touched. She needs to be held. And he just says, we're not there yet. We're taking our time. Later, they have a discussion with her sisters, I believe. They all go out to dinner. And that is filmed. And he's basically like, nah, I'm sorry. Carla wants it. I'm not giving it. We're taking our time over here. And we're not going to hear anything else from you about it. So she's got walls up and he's got trauma. A match made in heaven, but it's still nothing, y'all. It's still just blah between them. It's just nothing. No chemistry, no steam, heat. It's just nothing. Nothing of the sort. Now, let's talk about Aichi and, because girl, what? Was it really going to tell him she didn't want to move back in the apartment? Because she seems settled into that apartment. It didn't seem like that was going to be the conversation that she called to have with him on a Sunday. I don't know, y'all. I didn't. But anyway, we see Aichi very earlier in the episode, and he's in the car breathing hard for no reason, talking about, I told the experts I would move back in, but I'm having second thoughts. He meets with his friend, who has a very interesting lineup. I didn't know at first what was going on with that, but nevertheless, we must go on. And he's like, aren't you married? He's like, well, where's your wife? She wasn't it. She was asking all them questions. Why are you asking all them questions? And he was like, well, she doesn't know you, right? Yes, friend. That's what you do when you don't know someone. You ask them questions. But it wasn't like that. It was like she kept asking me the same question over and over again. My answer was going to change. Why can't my answer enough? But no one cares. No one cares. No one cares. Aichi and his second thoughts. And so they finally, I guess, get together and they meet in the apartment. And he says, I just left church. And my thing is, you have the audacity to worship in the Lord's house when you're full of the devil. You are full of the devil, sir. I say deliverance is in order, is needed, because there's no way you just got out of church service and came with all of that animus and venom when you sat down to talk to that woman. He said, listen, I'm trying not to detest you. I'm finding it very hard to even be in a room with you, period. And I don't want to put that on you, sir, but you just did. You just did. What's the point of saying all that? Like, I just think any opportunity he gets to harm her with his words, he will absolutely take. Every single time. He don't want to talk about the past. The past is in the past. Why are you bringing up old stuff? And she's like, there was a period of a week where you ignored every attempt I made to contact you. We need to talk about it. No, we don't. No, we don't. We need to get to know each other, sir. There's no getting to know each other. She basically puts her foot down and says, listen, if you don't reach out to me, we just won't talk because I'm never reaching out to you again. And he said, fine, I understand. And she says, well, why are you so defensive? He said, I am defensive. I am defensive because my answer just ain't good enough for you. I said, I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it. My time is my time and whatever I choose. You're never ready to be a husband. Never ready. Because it's not about you, Buki. I read something very long time ago, and it talked about how being married or getting married or being in a marriage is the most selfless thing that you'd sign up for in your entire life outside of parenting. And I couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more. Not that you lose yourself in a marriage, but marriage is about sacrifice. And he ain't got it to do. He does not give a damn. And the fact that MM sat there and said, I'm going to treat him like a man who wants to date me, but he doesn't want to date you. He don't want to date you. Y'all might as well just mail in the rest of the season because he's not going to contact you. He ain't going to plan nothing. He ain't going to do anything. He is so sorry. He is such a sorry individual. Just looking at him disgusts me. I don't want to ever see him again. I don't ever want to see him again because he has no desire to do this. He has no desire to be here. And I still feel like in a way she's holding out hope, even though she said it. She just grins and bears it. And I guess I just don't have a meek and mild grin and bear it spirit. Lord, do I need work? Is it me? Because the way I would have never given him a chance to get in my face and disrespect me again. To say you detest me? Me? You detest me. Oh, all right. Y'all, let's get to this final couple because listen, for not for nothing, but I'm not mad at Michelle. I'm not mad at Michelle. Because a person who will get in your face and lie to the degree that David lied in this episode, they'll do anything. They'll do anything. They might set the bed on fire. If you lie, you cheat. If you cheat, you steal. If you steal, you know what the old folks used to say. we find out that David is just out here randomly texting people, regularly texting people. You so fine. I want to eat you up. Send it to Michelle. You know you ain't eating none of Michelle. You ain't know there's nothing to eat over there. He said, oh man, I thought I deleted that. Well, what was it? What was it? What was so fine? You had to eat. Who looked so fine? You wanted to eat her up. I was talking to my cousin. It was about food. She was in Chinatown. She had a picture of some food. And I said, you so fine, I want to eat you up. David. All that time in your parents' basement and you haven't concocted any game at all, sir? None to speak of. Because it's the audacity, the gumption that one would have to let that lie come out their mouth. Knowing you sent it to her, well, I tried to delete it real quick. I didn't think you got it. Oh, I got it. So you talk about inanimate objects as if they're a real boy, like as if they're real people. Yeah. Okay. So again, this conversation is happening on the way to meet her family. He gets there, puts on a smile, petting the dog, cheesing her. And she says, you know what? I'm not going to bring this up to my family. And I said, well, Michelle, good for you. Good for you. Good for you, sis. And so her bestie from college is there, and we learned a little bit more about Michelle, how she was kind of a wallflower and then came out of her shell in college, and there has been no looking back. Like I said, she's not going back. And so now that we're back in the city, she goes out with her bestie that we met earlier in the episode, and they're talking, and the bestie's like, you know, I want to get to know him more. He seems like a good guy. And Michelle's like, hold on. Hold on, because this is what happened. And this is what he told me. The rest said, nah, we know that's not it. And she's like, listen, it's the principle of the thing. I'm married. You don't see me calling on my old hoes. I said, Michelle, call them. Call your hoes, sis. You don't see me calling on my hoes. And she's like, would I be petty if I asked for the receipts? Sis was like, no, you wouldn't be petty, girl. Go ahead and do it, because he's lying. And he is. And so later that night, she says, well, why don't you pull it up? You know, what color was the plate? What's your cousin have on? What cousin Denise, what was she wearing? And is that how you talk to your cousin? And he says, well, you don't know. We're not ordinary people. We're not normal type of people. Now, he hasn't had this chutzpah in all of the reads that Michelle has given him this entire season. But about this, you're defensive, sir? I'm not defensive. I'm sitting here in my good clothes. I'm sitting here in my church clothes. I'm not defensive. Yeah, you are, buddy. Yeah, you are, buddy. This is the most animated we've seen David ever in defending his honor. I don't want to talk about it right now. She said, well, for what it's worth, I know you're a liar. And he is, girl. Because be serious, David. You're not good at it. You ain't got no proof, no receipts. You're out here slaying that ding-a-ling to Madison. And not only Madison, but we discover he keeps a Rolodex of his Tinder dates in his phone. He bringing him coffee. He meeting them out and about. And Michelle's like, you know this isn't normal, right? He said, well, I didn't know. Sir, you're married. You're married, David. Thou art a villain. Thou art a villain. And all you had to do was act right for 8 weeks. You would have had the best edit ever. It would have been like, what was that brokie's name in Texas that was with my girl? Gil. You would have had that Gil edit. You would have had a Gil edit. Them hoes would have been lined up in your inbox and you wouldn't have had to settle for Madison. But nevertheless, here we are. And there you are. And yeah, it's a travesty. Because at the end of the day, no, we know that marriage was trash. It was a sham of a marriage. It was never going to be anything. But the fact is that you are still married. And there should be a sanctity to that. There should be, especially if you're going to pretend like you really want to try, like you have been this whole season, there should be a protective space around the marriage where there's not room for any conjecture about what you're doing outside of it or when you stay out all night on the weekends. Y'all, that's it. Y'all know we will be live on Thursday night to chop it up as a group for the panel discussion. Please be sure to tune into that. Thank y'all so much for being here. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you don't miss a thing. And I will see y'all in the next video. Thanks for watching.